you have a duty to notify, but that doesn't
Right.
mean that you cannot look at it. And there are also, and there's some strong overtones about obligations of law firms to put in practices that scrub this metadata, that clean the data before
Wow.
it goes out. And of course, in our law firm, we have
definitely doing that.
We've got those set up.
Sure.
Of course, it means it probably takes an extra minute or something to send out the document, but of course, it's worth the time to do that. The only final, I think there was one other thing I was going to mention on that, is that
I noticed recently, not to cut you off, but as you're thinking, you're getting that thought through, that someone had sent off, that someone had accidentally replied to all, and something they had meant to only reply to one. When they replied to all, some of their communication that they didn't intend to get out got out. Of course, as you say, it's so critical to monitor what you're sending out, if there's ways to scrub, and of course that you scrub tied in very well with the healthcare panel, since they're obviously doing a lot of scrubbing, but that term scrub it's critical to make sure you clean the slate.
Right, and I think the final piece I was going to mention relates to, of course, looking at there are things, even if the document is scrubbed, of course, or cleaned, you can sometimes perhaps go in and look at the properties. You can see, and one of the attorneys who was quoted in the article I mentioned stated that you can look who drafted it, when it was drafted. Sometimes there may be things that are still not scrubbable. I don't know that for a fact, but I'll have to look into
Again, a great reason for viewers to go out and take a look at stuff, go online, do research on. They could probably even type in scrub and legal documents, for instance, do a search for that. Zeke, what was that like getting your master's in, did you actually get a master's in economics there?
It was a master's in comparative politics.
Okay, but it was at the London School of Economics.
It was at London School of Economics. Of course, Greg and I, we graduated from Wake Forest in 1993 and played some intramural basketball together.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're much better than I.
Trips. Greg even went on spring break.
We went to the Bahamas together. That was dangerous,
and to Boston once.
That's right, to the head of the Charles.
And Greg's been so good to me. But after that, of course, spent a couple years in banking, and then looked at going to the London School of Economics, really as a precursor to doing the law and business degree.
Okay, sure.
I studied 2/5 in international relations and 3/5 in economic and political transitions to capitalism and democracy.
Oh, come on!
Right, so that's
I can even remember that.
Right. So, but it was a broad education. In that last portion, you're looking at these transitions to capitalism and democracy, and kind of the question is, what comes first, democracy or capitalism? Those types of things, and of course those issues continue to play out in things that we see all over the world. You look at places that have authoritarian rule and how they develop, and those types of issues. And of course on the international relations side, it was more of an international business course, which was good. I was able to intern at the American Chamber of Commerce while I was there.
Really? I didn't know that. While you were in London?
That's right, and do some other traveling.
That's tremendous.
You should have come to see me.
I know. I should have been over there. Well, of course, and your bride, you and your bride Bess actually met while you were working in Washington. Was that while you were working with Congressman Etheridge?
That's right. And I like I said, I feel you spoke of government and politics, of course.
Sure.
And I've been to Washington numerous times, including to see your father preside as Chief Judge of the Court of Military Appeals.
And to argue cases in the U.S. Supreme Court.
That's right. And so, but I worked, when I came back from London, I worked on the campaign of Bob Etheridge, who is familiar certainly to a lot of viewers in southeastern North Carolina, and perhaps even in South Carolina also. And he was a former superintendent of schools. I worked on his campaign. He was elected to Congress and then worked up there for him. And I really did. I was excited to work for him. He's a very fine person and has a lot of rural roots, but in a very forward-thinking outlook. And he kind of combines all that. He has a wonderful family. Of course, his children and son-in-law are very good friends.
Buddy of mine, that's exactly right. Who is with the firm that Kelly Carson will be with us on Thursday? Is with Wamba Carlisle, Sandridge and Rice.
Exactly. And so I was able to. The congressman, Congressman-elect invited me to go work for him in Washington. Worked up there for about 3 years, and that is where I met my bride. And she was working in marketing for a publication up there. And ultimately, when I came back to grad school. She had started with the SAS.
SAS out of Cary,
that's
of course.
right.
And tremendous company.
Doing a lot of computer security issues.
Oh yeah, big deal.
And then she moved down to North Carolina as well. In fact, she's in Washington today.
Is that right? Here
That's
on
right.
this Tuesday morning. That's
right.
amazing. She is into so much, and SAS is expanding so well. It's incredible when you think about everything they do as a company. Computer security is definitely the forefront for them.
It is, and so as I stated, I feel very blessed that the way that we met, it was wonderful, and then being able to start graduate school. She was starting with SAS up there, and then able to move down, and so we were there.
Very fortuitous. That's right. And your brothers, are they in the Triangle as well, Zeke?
My brother Charles
are still there.
My brother Charles has his insurance company, SynergyInsurance.net. That's right. He does workers' compensation work, and he's your brother Luke's age. Luke and Sherry's, your sister-in-law's age a bit. And then my brother Larry's in Hickory. He and his wife Stephanie and their 3 children.
Wow.
Chase, Zeke, and Lily are in Hickory, North Carolina, and Larry works throughout the Southeast for a company called Gorell. Does a lot of very energy-efficient glass work. Really,
is that right?
And of course, he and your brother Rob and
Or
your
about
sister-in-law
the same,
Elizabeth.
and Elizabeth, that's exactly right. And you know, Rob and Elizabeth had their second child last Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m.
Oh, that is
baby
wonderful.
girl. I've got a niece now as of last Wednesday at 4, which is very exciting.
That is exciting.
I'm so excited to bring her into the world. Born 9 pounds 4 ounces. Yeah.
My goodness.
Big
well, that
girl,
is.
yeah.
Maybe she'll be as tall as the rest of them.
That's right. She might even be taller than Rob and Elizabeth,
right.
probably than Rob. And, of course, you know Rob and Luke now, my older and younger brothers, and one of my sister-in-laws, Sherry,
That's right.
are all now second-year law students at your alma mater,
That's right.
Chapel Hill.
That's
UNC
right.
Law School.
Where the law school library, of course, has a lot of affiliations with your grandmother. The law library named for your grandmother.
That's right.
And your father's, the institute, the military.
The Center on Law, Ethics, and National Security.
That's right. Scott Silliman was our professor who came out of that institute and is there at UNC and at Duke.
He teaches at Duke and UNC,
And
Professor
so
Silliman.
we're able to take some military law course, which
National Security Law. Yeah, and of course they had their annual conference last Wednesday and Thursday up at the Washington Duke. And
you're on that board, right?
I'm on the board there, a tremendous group. And tomorrow John Kibler will be with us, and we hope to get him back on Friday as well, talking about some real serious computer security issues. He is, interestingly, Zeke, a certified ethical hacker. And whenever you use that word ethical, of course, we think about the Center on Law, Ethics, and National Security. Of course, ethics really become an issue. And, of course, in law firms, you guys are faced with ethical issues all the time, aren't you?
We are. You know, you're faced with how you talk with other individuals. Of course, you cannot. You're charged not to speak with other folks who have attorneys themselves. You need to speak with their attorney.
Right.
Of course, we talk about these metadata issues, scrubbing documents, and you in a litigious environment and in these complex transactions, you certainly try to keep your wits about you. You try to be, and you are as efficient and as forthright as you can be. But when you're moving along at these fast paces, it's important to represent your client's best interests. And part of that, though, is to not only be as ethical as you're obligated to be and as you can be, but also to bring about a measure of collegiality that helps pull a transaction along and get it finished. You know?
That's a very good point.
And,
both convenience as well as ethical and collegiality. You really want to speed things up oftentimes on behalf of your client, but you don't want to go so fast that it causes problems.
That's right. So.
Very serious stuff out there, Zeke. You know, as you think back, as you made that determination, I know you went out to Colorado for a while, worked with a firm out there doing some actually worked with a company out there.
Worked for an environmental real estate company out there. Went south, unfortunately, starting the first day I got out there. So
you had the opportunity to come back to the Triangle. You could have been with any firms. Was there anything about Parker, Poe, Adams, and Bernstein in this last minute that really brought you in, Zeke?
Well, Parker Poe, and of course you can go to the website parkerpoe.com. Parker Poe, the people there first of all, it was a very sophisticated practice, but it also had a history of involvement in the community. The folks who are certainly the lead partners in the firm are active out there, And so that's important. You're going to be working very hard, but it's important to keep that balance so you keep your marriage going, you contribute to the community, and you build your profession. And so I feel very blessed to be there, and of course I feel blessed to be here today.
Thanks again for being with us
Greg,
this morning.
thank you so much. Yeah,
absolutely.
good to see you.
Thanks for last week's service at the conference.
You're
welcome.
welcome. Well,
stay tuned to more Carolina People with Zeke Creech coming up next. You know, think about that. You've got critical issues like health care, computer security issues. These are real issues. You've got chief information officers for area hospitals, whether it's the Loras Healthcare System or Conway Medical Center or the Columbus Regional Medical Center. Real issues that are impacting lives. You think of phrases like HIPAA. What is that? These are critical issues that many, many folks are faced with. You heard Zeke talk about scrubbing. Who did the Computer Security Conference turn to? They turned to a tremendous firm like Parker Poe, Adams, and Bernstein. One of its associates out of Raleigh was willing to come down and be here at this conference to make a difference. You heard Zeke talking about Parker Poe, that firm. You can visit parkerpoe.com, but you heard him share those basics of a firm that's committed to not only making sure the firm runs well, but committed to making sure its associates and partners are making a difference in the community, giving back. That's exactly what Zeke was doing last week. That's what we all want to do every day.